These 3 steps will not stop every lift, but they will prevent the ones that ruin your nail sets. The last 2 steps are very crucial, so you do not want to miss those. The last 2 steps was definitely a solution for the mistakes that I was making, not knowing if I was sealing a cuticle enough. Let me show you how to prep your nails to prevent those lifting issues, starting with step 1. This might sound so cliche, but prepping the nails is definitely key. I'm going in with this Russian nail bit that I use, and I put my drill in reverse, so therefore it picks up and lifts up any of that cuticle that may be on the nail plate. Now, this is not a replacement for your sanding bit. I still use my sanding bit, but I like to use this in the cuticle area because with the sanding bit, if you get too close, you can hurt your client. Using the sanding bit is very crucial because this is the part where it's going to determine if the acrylic bonds to the nails or not, and other factors, but this is the main one. If you decide to skip or rush this part, it will not bond correctly to the nail. I am just removing the shine from the natural nail, not thinning the natural nail. That is the key. Make sure you're using a soft grit sanding bit, especially for the natural nails. Just like how the files have different grits on them, so do the sanding bits. The higher the grit, the less aggressive. The lower the grit is, the more aggressive it's going to be. I used to think that you had to put really hard pressure in order to get everything off the nail, but you really don't. The lighter, the better. Now, I'm not saying go too light, but the lighter, the better. One mistake I made as a beginner was missing the side walls when I was sanding the nails. That's why it's really important for me to use my Russian nail bit to get in all those corners. This step made a big difference in my retention once I actually slowed down and did everything properly. This is just the surface work. But what I do after this is where the real retention starts. Stay with me. Once I'm done prepping the surface, I go ahead with my dehydrator, which is my 90% alcohol. This is definitely to double check and make sure that all the oils are gone. Once the nails turn back white, you know you done did it right. Always make sure the alcohol is all the way dry before you move on to the next step. This primer is definitely a staple. It's going to keep your nails on for 4 weeks plus. But I do like to go ahead and go in with this Valentino Bond. It's just a little extra razzle-dazzle. After I made sure that the nails went back white after spraying it with the alcohol, that's when I go ahead and go in with the Valentino Super Bond. And then after that, I give the bond like 5 seconds to set in, and then I go ahead with the No Lift primer. I wanted to take a moment to talk about the different type of primers that they have, the ones that are acidic and the ones that are non-acidic. This Valentino primer that I'm using right now is a non-acidic primer, meaning it does not have any acid in it and it is not acid based, and it will not burn any surface that it touches, including your client's skin. I don't know if y'all really paid attention to your primer like that, but primer tends to spread once you put it on the nail. So if you put the primer too close to the base of the nail or body cuticle, it will spread and then goes into your client's skin. That's why it's great to put the primer a little far back, because knowing how far it will spread just avoids you potentially burning your client. Now I'm going in with my No Lift nail primer, and I'm using a really smaller brush and being very detailed when applying this. The reason why is because this one is acid based, and it can burn your client if it touches their skin, especially if they have any open wounds or anything. You just want to really take your time when you're using this primer, and remember, you are working with chemicals. Please take your time. Please. You don't want to hurt yourself. Now that we are at the step that is very crucial to lifting, the mistake that I always made, not this bead application, the bead application is good. When it comes down to laying your beads, you want them to be very flush at the beginning. You don't want them to be sitting up too high, because then you're not going to know if you're sealing the cuticle enough when you go in with your drill. And you really want that bead before the cuticle bead to be very flush, because that's going to determine how that cuticle bead lays and how your apex looks. So once I get that all feathered out, I'm going to zoom in and give y'all a closer look so y'all can see very clearly. And now I'm going to pick up this cuticle bead, and once I lay it down on the nail, I'm going to lay it pretty close, and then I'm going to angle the finger downward so it could kind of slide down off of the cuticle and it won't flood the cuticles. And I'm taking the tip of my brush and tucking that product into the nail fold. You want to tuck it in and make sure it's as flush as possible, so when you go in with your drill, you know what you're filing. You're not over filing. You're not giving the client ring of fire. That was the mistake that I made when I first started out. And I'm going to show you guys a second time just so y'all get the full picture. Since we done made this part easier with our first step, now we're going to go ahead and finish it out. Now that you done sealed the cuticle with the acrylic, that makes you sealing a cuticle with the drill 10 times easier, and you're not going to overfile your client's nail. All you have to do is keep the drill parallel to the nail. That means not angling the drill upward to make sure that you get up in the cuticle, because that is something that I used to do too. It was just all bad. Just keep the drill flat and just try to get as close to the cuticle as you can. Make sure that the product near the cuticle is flush as possible, and that's when you could just go ahead and move on to the next nail. Since we already did that with the acrylic, you probably only have to go over the nail 3-4 times max. And also, the really good thing that I learned with sealing a cuticle with the acrylic is that you can see the cuticle. You can see that you're filing it enough. You know when you're finished. I feel like when I used to build the product up a lot by the cuticle, I really couldn't tell if I was sealing it enough, and that's what also caused my nails to lift. And I'm about to give y'all some really good close-up shots of me sealing a cuticle so y'all can actually see the nails get really flush after I go over the cuticle a certain amount of times. And this part of the video is not sped up, so y'all can actually see in real time that this process does not take that long, and it's going to help you out on your speed. If you're struggling with lifting, it's probably one more thing that's throwing you off in your routine. And I talk about it in this next video right here. And I'm going to see you guys in my next one. Bye.